York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from the Knick of Time show. Here to give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time, and it's time to talk about a Knicks loss to the lowly Utah Jazz. That's right, the Knicks, after winning 4 games in a row, lose to the Jazz 106 to 121, and we're gonna talk about it all. It was all ugly. There was no good. It was atrocious. It was hideous. It was horrible. And we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details of the game. Before I do that, I'm going to introduce you to a guest on the KOT show, Sean Shepard, who's Knicks fan since 1977, former basketball strength and conditioning coach at San Diego State, Kansas State, Boston College, and Ohio State University, Georgetown, Hoya alumni, founder of Game Changer and Cops and Convicts podcast. You can check his stuff out on TikTok at the original Game Changer and the Cops and Convicts YouTube channel. Shout out to Sean Shepard. What's going on, Sean?
It's good, Jay Ellis. Thanks for having me, yo.
Yeah, man. I wish you was here under better circumstances. I wish we was talking about our 5th Knick win in a row. But unfortunately, that's not what's happened today. It's not what happened today.
Nah, and I really wish that I was making my debut on KOT over a W, man. But, you know, you and I talked offline. That last victory we had against the Suns, we gave up 122 points, and you give up 121 today. It's going to be tough to win when you're giving up that many points, man.
Yeah. I'm happy that you mentioned the Suns, because to me, when we beat the Suns, yes, I'm happy for the win, but I also feel like it was fool's gold because we won that game purely on offensive firepower. I feel like during that game, we played approximately a quarter and a half defense, and we was playing so well offensively. We had 30 assists that game. We were hitting threes all over the place that we didn't really need to necessarily play defense for 4 quarters. We just played them in stints in important parts of the game, and we were able to win. But the reason why I felt like that win set a bad precedent is because it just reinforces bad habits. You know what I mean? It just reinforces bad habits for us, and I think we brought those bad habits into Utah, where like you can see it from the first quarter. The starters just did not have it. They didn't play with effort. They didn't play with any urgency. When I compare this game to the game we played against the Pacers the first time, you can tell that they were just extremely lackadaisical, and it was frustrating to watch.
I agree with you. And despite the fact that we were on this little 4-game win streak, we didn't beat any good teams in that 4-game win streak, in my opinion. We gave up a lot of points, you know, in Arizona. And then tonight we gave up a lot of points, and I'm not here to be looking at just the negative. I'm just being real.
Gotta be real.
Just talking about what I see. And it's lovely for us to be scoring, but you can't be giving up 121 points and 122 points. And I really feel like tonight, when it came to our defense and our lack of size, that we missed Precious and Mitch tonight. Markkanen and Kessler Walker, it just seemed like every time we turned around, if you're in the paint, there was some 7-footer in the way. Out on the wing, Brunson wasn't able to shake Kessler Walker out on the wing and get a 3 off or get past him. They just had too much size, and it was a bad matchup for us in that regard if we weren't going to hit any shots. And it tonight seemed like the opener against Boston all over again, where the Jazz couldn't miss.
Yeah.
And we couldn't make anything. Anybody not named OG Anunoby in that starting lineup was not hitting any threes.
Yeah. Wasted game from OG Anunoby, who gave you 27 points and 7 of 12 from 3. This is a Knick high, might be a career high. But
it was.
Yeah, career high 7 threes from OG Anunoby. Definitely a wasted game. But you know what, though? Like, even you talked about the size, and we can get back to that. Even with size aside, the activity level on defense wasn't there. Like I saw Mikal and Brunson get confused on switches and who to defend. I saw Josh Hart kind of trot to the 3-point line when somebody was open. The Utah Jazz, who were bottom in the league in 3-point shooting, shot 55% from three. That should not happen. Cat hasn't been good defending the rim and even the perimeter today. I feel like there was defensive holes to go all around. And OG Anunoby, he put in the effort. He just got cooked. Like OG got cooked.
And by the time Collins was giving him that work tonight. Collins was giving everybody that work tonight. When you think about who we really didn't stop at all.
Yeah.
Was Collins and marketing.
Right.
And I'm with you. Transition D has been our problem all season long. And what really makes me scream at the television is we'll give up points in transition off of our made basket.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've been seeing that way too often this year, and we saw more of that tonight. The funny thing that you say about Towns and his defense in the paint, I thought I saw some signs of life from him in playing better drop coverage on a couple of possessions. I mean, certainly he has nowhere to go but up, but I saw him doing a little bit better in the paint. I just felt like on both ends of the court, when the shot went up at the rim, it was Towns against at least two other 7-footers in there trying to rebound. I mean, we got crushed on the glass tonight. We got out rebounded by 12. And that's what I'm saying. If the way we're positioned offensively, if you have Bridges in one corner and OG in the other corner, those are the two tallest players that you have in the lineup aside from Cat. It's hard to rebound when you coming from from the baseline,
very true,
from the sideline trying to rebound. And so I feel like Cat was doing his best, but far too often, whether it was on the defensive end of the court or the offensive end of the court, our possessions were one and done. We get a shot. If it didn't go in, which it didn't go in tonight, that was the only shot that we got in the possession.
Would you start Precious? Because I know Precious is supposed to be the guy off the bench, but you keep mentioning size. When we first started talking about starting lineups, I thought maybe Precious could be an option because it helps us in two ways. One, help us with a little bit of size, like you said. Two, Cat is not the best defender, and he helps a lot with kind of weak side help. He's a pretty good weak side defender sometimes, and sometimes can even defend bigs bigger than he is a lot of times. Like we saw what he did with Joel Embiid in the playoffs for a stint. Like I do like Josh Hart, and he's a great rebounder for us. But have you given thought to having Precious in a starting lineup?
I was thinking about this earlier today. It would be great if Josh Hart was 6'8".
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he's not. And I think before the season is out, I think Tibbs is going to have to make a move to give us more of a defensive presence, a rebounding presence, a rim presence, because Precious can do all of that. He's a lot more mobile. He can switch on defense. And I don't know if he's going to start Precious, but if I were to bet, I don't think that this starting lineup is going to be our starting lineup like post All-Star break.
You think so? You think so?
I'm just saying I think we're going to have to do something from a defensive standpoint, from a rebounding standpoint, because one of the things that I didn't like about our team last year, especially with all the injuries, we were small during the playoffs. We were a small team during the playoffs. And if you take OG out of the mix because he's far away from the basket, and Mikal, neither one of those guys are premier rebounders. If your best rebounder outside of Cat is 6'4" Josh Hart, I don't see how that translates against certain teams. And you can't be going into a playoff series crossing your fingers, hoping that they're just that much big, that they're not just that much bigger than us in order for us to have a chance on the glass. You see what happens when we don't make shots.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was a concern to me is our inability to draw fouls. I don't know what the refs are looking at when Towns is going to the basket and
Me
hitting the
neither,
deck
man.
on our layup attempts. He doesn't seem to get any foul calls. The only player on our team that seems to consistently get foul calls when he goes to the basket is Josh Hart. So offensively was a perfect example tonight. How are you going to generate offense when your shots aren't falling? Are you going to be able to go into the paint and get your points at the free throw line? And so far this season, especially tonight, the answer to that question is no.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know what? This is a team where I thought, hey, we have so many great wing defenders. We should be able to generate steals and get extra possessions that way. That really hasn't happened enough. And this team is actually a high turnover team, mind you. I don't even feel like we turned them over that much or turned that many points or that many turnovers into points. So if we're not going to get to the foul line, we're not going to turn the ball over, and we're not rebounding, then we're solely straight up a finesse team who just relies on shooting, and that can be an issue. And we'll see what happens when Precious comes back. But two things have to happen. Like, those guys have to come back and they have to actually play minutes, because like I still feel like Sims, for instance, right? Sims is not the best offensive player. He's gonna kill spacing if you play him with Karl-Anthony Towns, but he'll help with the size. He'll help with rebounding. He'll help with rim protection. So for Precious too, like if the shooting is there, maybe he'll get more time than we think. But I'm not exactly sure how Tibbs is going to play this. I know you're sure, but I'm not sure how Tibbs will play it moving forward.
No. I didn't say I was sure. I said if I was going to bet, he has to do something. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. And I thought that by now, listen, we haven't gotten to the 20 game mark yet. And we know that through the grapevine that Tibbs likes to do his experimenting 20 games at a time, especially early on in the season.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that at some point he would have at least tried to match Towns with a Huckporty, who's more mobile, has better hands, can give you offense, can give you a little bit more spacing on the floor than if you tried to put Towns and Sims on the court at the same time. You see that he's played Huckporty and Sims at the same time at times. Why hasn't he tried to play another big with Towns? We haven't seen that, and
I
I'd like
think
to see it.
I feel like Sims and Hawkporty are a little too redundant. And
Exactly, but he's played them at the same time.
right, but like you have to think about when he's played them at the same time. Like, he's not playing them at
So
the same time
I got you.
against big teams, and he's playing them at the same time, like garbage time, see what happens type of moments. Like I think their games will have to severely change and expand to actually play Porty and Cat at the same time, because like I said, I feel like spacing still has to be a thing for us, because we don't want to add spacing with Cat and then take away spacing with a non-shooting big. I think that's the big thing, because the Cat spacing is what's giving us the number 2 offensive rating team in the league. So we got to try to work around that with some pieces. I think that's really the issue for me.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm just saying that at some point where we can agree that offense has not been our problem.
Mm.
In a game like tonight, where it's very clear that Utah's size is hurting you, we're getting beat up on the boards. Towns is 1 against 4 when it comes to rebounding half the night or more than half the night. I just thought that at some point he would try to insert another big, a mobile big like Huckporty, to help Towns on the glass, help with shot blocking, be that 5 where Towns could still be a stretch 4. And he
Right.
hasn't even tried. He hasn't even tried it. I'm just saying, can we try and see what that looks like? And it's been made clear to all of us that Huckporty is not going to get regular minutes outside of, like Tibbs likes to say,
Mm-hmm.
situational. He's going with Sims. So if he's just going to go with Sims, then I understand him not trying to play Sims and Towns at the same time, because Sims doesn't give you enough of that. He's not that great of a rim protector. We haven't seen him block a lot of shots.
Wait, okay, wait. But I will say there's two types of rim protection though.
Block shots,
There's
block shots.
block shots and rim protection are two different
Got you.
things because he's
Got you.
number one in rim protection in the league. So
Nope.
that means he's intimidating people.
You gotta be real specific on that. He's number one in rim protection in the restricted area.
Yeah, in the restricted area. That's where you protect the rim.
Okay,
right?
but not in the whole paint. And I'm saying what we've seen from Hukporti, that one game that he blocked 4 shots, great weak side help, great on ball defense when it came to blocking shots. Listen, I don't want to get into a tit for tat with you between Hukporti and Sims. That's a whole different story.
Oh, we had that. We had that debate many times in this program. That's
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure. But what I'm saying to you is, in a game like tonight, where I feel like for the first time this season, and I could be wrong, but if my memory serves me correctly, for the first time this season, size was an issue for us tonight, and we didn't adjust to it. The only thing that got us back in this game, ironically enough, is when Sims and Campaign came into the game at the same time and started playing great defense, forcing turnovers, and we went on that 17-zip run, starting with defense.
Right. And yeah. And you know what? And I will say size was definitely part of a factor, but I feel like the Campaign entrance was a staple because it wasn't even just the size. It was our perimeter defense in general was trash.
Yes.
Our rotations were trash. We didn't. You can visibly see the effort level different. If we just watch the fourth quarter versus the first and second quarter, you would be like, this is not even the same team. If we play defense in the fourth quarter like we did in the first, we wouldn't have lost tonight. That's how I feel. Like, to me, it's not even really just size. It's like, it's do you want to win? I feel like our identity from last year was a team who played 4 quarters of basketball, or at least close to it on the defensive end. And so far, what I've seen this season, we've only put together like 2 quarters of defense this whole time. Maybe with the exception of the Pacers game, when we got smacked by the Celtics and we were licking our wounds and we had something to prove. But I felt like once we proved it versus the Pacers, we haven't had that same intensity on defense for an entire game. Enters Utah, who we think is sweet because they lost 4 in a row. They feeling good about themselves, and we too high off of Phoenix when we didn't have to do much. It was the perfect storm for us, is what I would say.
When I look at my game notes, the only time that we played what we would all hope will be typical Knicks basketball is when the second unit came into the game.
Yeah, exactly.
My notes are all my notes when I go from first quarter to second quarter to third quarter. The only positives that my notes reflect are when the second unit came into the game.
Yeah,
that's it.
For sure.
That's it.
Know what? Let's move the conversation then, since she went there.
Okay.
Mikal Bridges, right? Mikal Bridges has had an up and down season on both ends of the court. He's been a career 38% 3-point shooter. But this season it's fallen off. Even though he's been hitting from the corners in general, he's been hitting 30% from 3. And I'm going to bring up some clean the glass stats. And shout out to TikTok, because we're streaming on TikTok for the first time, by the way. So I got a little bit more going on this side than usual. So it's going to take me a minute to get to my usual. But boom, let's get to it though. Mikal Bridges, right? If you go to Mikal Bridges shooting accuracy, according to Clean the Glass, non-corner threes, if you guys can see this, 0 percentile non-corner threes. You know what 0 percentile means? Absolutely last in the NBA. This is his worst 3-point shooting in his entire career from the non-corner, which is ridiculous. Yeah. And then the other part of that is Mikal Bridges is shooting. He's the best fadeaway shooter in the NBA. The eye test to tell you, like, wow, he's looking like Durant out there. He's actually been shooting better than Durant in the fadeaways.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Exactly.
Bruh.
Not tonight is exactly where I was going at. So now
not
when you're not
tonight.
playing defense and you can't hit your corner threes, because he was bricking those two, can't hit the non-corner threes, can't hit your fadeaways, it was looking really bad for Mikal Bridges.
And then in transition in the first quarter or first half for sure, he goes up for a dunk. He gets blocked at the rim.
Yeah, for sure. So now you can't even get the shots at the rim. And enter Campaign, who played 30 minutes tonight. And the coach actually did something right, because for so far this season, Mikal Bridges has averaged the most minutes out of any Knick, regardless of how good or bad he's been playing. And Campaign, I forgot what game Campaign came in, he played well. And the coach took him out, and I was like, damn, he only played him like 10 minutes. He should have kept him in the game. This time, coach kept him in the game. You can tell Campaign was tired. He was huffing and puffing, but he made it a difference. He was the reason why we were in this game. So shout out to Campaign, who actually played pretty well. What are Campaign stats real quick? I don't know if you have them pulled up already.
I do have him pulled up. He played 31 minutes. He shot 4 for 11, which isn't great, but he shot 3 for 7 from 3. He had 6 rebounds. They were all defensive. He had 5 assists. He had a steal. Campaign had 2 blocks, and he was one of only 2 players who had a positive plus minus tonight. Between him and Jericho Sims, Campaign was +2. Sims was +19. So again, sometimes the eye test does tell the story. Yeah. And when our bench came into the game, they made a difference in the game. And I just want to say this. I got to say this. I got to give a shout out to Pacome Dadier.
Yes.
Because when he checked in the second quarter, great defense on Sexton, 2 possessions in a row. One-on-one defense, causing turnovers, and his defense, those 2 turnovers resulted in 5 points for us. I
think so. I definitely feel like they kind of caused a couple of fast breaks because of those stops.
It did.
I was hoping he would go back to him, but he didn't. I was definitely baffled because, like you said, Colin Sexton, there's a list of Knicks killers. Colin Sexton low-key is on that list, even though Utah doesn't necessarily beat us, or even when he was on the Cavs, he didn't necessarily beat us, but he would kill us on the Cavs too. And today was no different. And when Pacome was on him and he was shut down, my brain was just like, things that make you go, wouldn't it be nice if Pacome got a few more minutes today and was like, you know what? Colin's been killing us. Sick Pacome on him. He hasn't figured him out. Like, I wish we'd have done that. I really did.
Well, I mean, we know that we have a head coach that it takes a lot for him to break out of his habits. And the bottom line is, if you look at the minutes, this might have been a season low minutes for Mikal Bridges tonight. He only played 33 when up to this point, the brother's playing 45 minutes a night, 44 minutes a night. I don't know what his season average is, but there were minutes to be had because Bridges wasn't playing so well.
Right.
And Campaign took most of Bridges' minutes, but what I saw from Dadier, I liked. Even Kolek came in and hit a 3.
Yeah, I like that.
So, yeah, so and I mean, they're still hunting Kolek on defense, don't get me wrong, but he's fighting, he's battling. Our bench is the only thing that gave us any chance of winning tonight. And even Jay Crossover said during the broadcast, will the Knicks second unit be the unit that helps them get through this game? They didn't play enough because it's kind of like when we saw last year when Brunson came off the court, other teams went on a run. When he came back on the court, things stabilized. And it seemed like that's what the role the second unit was playing for us tonight. I'm not saying that they were going to be the unit that took us home, but they got us to a 2-point deficit.
Right.
That 17-0 run got us to 2 points.
Right.
And the turning point in that run was an alley-oop attempt by Brunson to Bridges, who he missed. And then before you know it, the lead was back up to 9, and then it was back up to 12. And that was a wrap. That was the turning point in the game in terms of the run that we were on. And then Utah went on a run of their own to put distance between them and us. And we never recovered from that.
Yeah. Now the second unit, first, they did it twice too. Even in that, the first and second quarter, they tied it to 28.
Yes.
So it was always about the second unit, really, that really kept us in this game. Tibbs did play Campaign 28 minutes. Maybe he should have played Sims a little bit more minutes.
He played Campaign 31 minutes.
Oh, 31 minutes. I'm sorry. Excuse me, 31 minutes. Maybe
you should have. Kolek got 11 minutes tonight. Dadier only got 3. And based on the conversation you and I just had,
yes.
Maybe he should have had more than 3 points.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he should have got more than 3 minutes.
Absolutely. Shoot, maybe even the minute, because Campaign, our coach, man, Campaign plays 11 minutes all game, plays 31 minutes a day, which I commend, but he was looking gassed. Like even the 3 he hit that 3, man, he looked like he was searching for his lungs. The way he was bent over and breathing. I was like,
he was, and that wasn't a matter of altitude. That was a matter of effort on his part because, as a former strength coach, I've been to Utah, and that thin air is real. And at the beginning of this game, I thought that the altitude was a factor very early in the game. Guys were mouth breathing early on in that first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hoping it was just going to be a matter of them adjusting to the altitude, within, take you half the first quarter to get that done. And then, as I told you, I realized in the second quarter when the starters came back in, this ain't altitude.
Yeah, this is
they don't have it right now.
Yeah.
They don't have it right now. And right now turned into they don't have it tonight.
Yeah, we cannot keep letting our offense dictate our defense. We have to hang our hat on something. That's going to be the next lesson for this team. Regardless of how you shoot, you have to find other ways to affect the game. I do commend Towns for fighting on the boards. That's the one thing I'll say. Since he's rejoined Tibbs, his rebounding numbers have gone up. He's been I think a top 4 rebounder in the league. But
16 more boards tonight. 16 more boards tonight. He was very inefficient scoring. He shot 6 from 19 from the field tonight. His 3-point shooting was by far the worst game of the year. He shot 1 of 9. But when you look at it, 16 points, 16 rebounds. The only other Knick player, there was no other Knick player that had double-digit rebounds. The next highest rebound total by any player was 6. That's not going to get it done.
It's not going to get it done. We need more boards from somewhere. And maybe that's when Mitch comes back, and maybe that's when Precious comes back. But even when those guys come back, like how many minutes are they going to get? You know what I'm saying? I can see Mitch coming back and playing 15 minutes a game, 20 tops. But we're going to have to get something from the starters. We're just going to have to get something from the starters.
Yeah, we're going to have to get more from the starters. And when you talk about the bench, they had a good night tonight. Not enough, but I really want to take one last look at Towns' rebounding stats. Cat had 8 offensive rebounds tonight and 8 defensive rebounds tonight. No other player on the team had more than 1 offensive rebound tonight. And it goes back to the point that I made earlier. Far too often, Cat was the only person in the paint battling for rebounds against at least 2 other trees that Utah had on the court.
Yeah.
And he did the best that he could. He's like, I'm the only one rebounding, and you need me to score as well. Yes, we do. But he needed some rebounding help tonight, and he didn't get it.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. Salute to the chat. Hold on. We streaming on TikTok for the first time. TikTok chat ain't active yet. We just starting though. We gonna get there.
No, it's not. I told you it's gonna take you a little bit of time.
It's gonna take some time. Just like everything else, it takes some time. But my YouTube family is active, so let me shout. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Gunshots, please. Gunshots, please. Wait a minute.
Let's talk to the people.
Nah, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The legendary Chuck D in the chat. What's going on, Chuck? What's going on?
Salute, Chuck.
Salute Chuck D. Long time Knicks fan, KOT supporter, Knicks fan supporter, Knicks content creator supporter everybody. Always, 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 no matter where I am on this planet, I will always salute and have so much respect for Chuck D.
Hey, is Chuck in the chat right now?
Yep.
Hey, Chuck, you are very good friends with my cousin Wildman Steve out there in Strong Island, man. He speaks very highly of you, loves you to death, man. I just wanted to give you that shout out because Wildman Steve is my cousin.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they do business together.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Small world. Small world. People connecting with people. Shout out to you. But shout out to my regulars in the chat too. Shout out to Picks for Timmy, Fitz Centaur, Keith, Watkins. Who else is in the chat? JW, I see you. Deras, I see you. Soul Sorch, I see you. Cully, I see you. DKEJ21, I see you. Shout out to JT Reddick, I see you. Everybody was rocking with the KOT show. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe. You're gonna be here talking Knicks after every game. Shout out to my regular co-host, Ryan G. He's supposed to be coming back soon. Lee Escobedo, who's outside gallivanting. And shout out to Ebony as well, and my regular co-host. But also shout out to Sean Shepard, first time on the program, and having a great conversation with him, man. Having a great conversation. Nice to have you, Sean, for sure.
Hey, this is fun. I appreciate you inviting me, J. Ellis.
Appreciate it. You said you tried to send a super chat. It didn't work. It didn't work out, Chuck. That's interesting. Hopefully that gets figured out. Let me see. Did I miss this? I don't think I'll send any super chat alerts. But I appreciate the support nonetheless, Chuck. All right. Yes, YouTube. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know. It's worked every other time, so I'm not sure what's happening right now. Why the super chat's not working, but definitely.
What did he say in the super chat?
Nah, it didn't go through. Whatever he sent didn't go through. He said he was trying to send one, but for whatever reason, it didn't go through. Is what he's saying. But I appreciate the sentiment, Chuck. Always for real. All right. Next game. What's the next schedule? When is the next game? Next game is
Today's Saturday. Is it Monday?
Is Monday versus the Nuggets or not? So I already know what's going to happen. First and foremost, I'll say this: it's still early. We're still a young team. It's definitely not the end of the world. We still have time to get our stuff together. But at the same time, I still see some habits forming that I don't like. And how many games are we in? Like 15 and 16 games in?
So we were 9-6 going into this game. So that's 15. Today was 16. The next game will be the 17th.
Yeah, so we're almost at that 20 game mark when you start to see what habits are forming and how we're starting to play. Offensively, we rounded into shape, even though this is a bad game offensively. Defensively, though, the consistency has to be there. That has to be addressed for sure. And my guess is when we play the Denver Nuggets, we will be playing way harder on defense because, one, we don't like the way we lost to Utah. And two, I just think the league and the Knicks just have more respect for the Nuggets. And usually teams get up for better teams. I expect the defensive effort to be a lot more consistent this game. And we win the game, I hope so. After losing this game, to me, this is a game that we should put our all in and try to squeak out here so we can have a good road trip moving forward. All right.
I mean, you like to think so, but my problem is, and I'm not one to talk about the refs. The refs had nothing to do with the way we played, the way our starters played, the shots that we missed. However, what is concerning to me that it's not just Jalen Brunson that's not getting calls. When we are going to the basket, I spoke about this as it relates to Cat. There are three players on our team that are consistently in the paint. Cat, JB, and Josh Hart. And Josh Hart gets calls, especially in transition. But I don't know what else Cat has to do to get to the free throw line. He's going hard to the basket. Has he caught OG's disease in that he can't stay up on his feet, and just because he falls to the floor doesn't mean that he was fouled?
Yo.
But I asked the question, are we going to be able to generate offense when our shots aren't falling by going to the paint and getting to the free throw line?
Yeah.
We're trying. We're trying.
Yeah.
Bridges isn't trying. Bridges very rarely tries to finish at the rim. He'll get to the paint and fall away with that jump shot.
Right.
That's the one thing that's concerning to me on offense is our lack of free throws, despite the fact that we are being aggressive. We're not getting foul calls. And when you talk about this game coming up against the Nuggets, and you said that the league has more respect for the Nuggets, are we going to see more of the same? Because I do see the effort to take shots in the paint and get to the rim, and we're not getting any calls. We're not going to the free throw line.
Yeah, the cat thing is concerning. I feel like the Brunson thing is even more concerning because for me, like I feel like it can wear on Brunson more than it can wear on Cat because of Brunson's size. You know what I mean? I think what's happening is the league is kind of trying to overcorrect the way that Brunson gets foul calls because I'm not sure where he is right now, but at least I know at one point he was number one in drives in the league, but like damn near dead last in fouls drawn, which to me is a stat that doesn't even seem to be possible. Even if you're number one in drives, you should at least be top 5, top 10 in fouls drawn. But he's gotten a reputation of being a flopper so much, whether it be people talking, whether it be even his own podcast. They joke about it, that I think it's kind of worked against him. And in Karl, I think Karl hasn't had the reputation of being in the paint guy. I feel like he's been in the paint this season with the Knicks more than he has with the Timberwolves. I think he can start to gain the respect of some of the rest as time goes on. The longer he's in the paint and plays like the big man's big man and not just hit threes. I think it could turn around for Cat. But for Brunson, though, I think the refs has to get their heads out their ass.
Well, I'm just looking at the free throw stats. No bench player attempted a free throw.
Mm.
Bridges didn't go to the line at all. OG didn't go to the line at all. Cat went to the line 3 times, made all 3. Brunson went to the line 5 times, made all 5. Hart went to the line 4 times and made 3. We shot 91%, 92% from the free throw line. We only took 12 shots from the free throw line. We only took 12.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. Their center really deterred a lot of our forays to the basket as well. We were really just trying to hit threes.
Oh yeah.
We were.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying when we did go into the paint, I thought that there was enough contact. They were certainly calling contact on us when it came to Utah going into the paint. They made more free throws than we attempted.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were 14 of 19. And to Tim's point, he said a couple of nights ago, I don't care how you call the game. Just be consistent. And there's a lot of contact on our players all season long that I feel like we should have gone to the free throw line. And I don't want anybody who's watching this to misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not complaining about the refs as it relates to why we lost tonight.
You're just pointing out.
I just think that we should have gotten more free throw attempts based on some of our forays into the paint, and we weren't rewarded.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like that's been a thing of the season, a theme of the season for sure this year. Not to say that's the reason we've lost a few games, but it's definitely been noticeable for sure. For sure. I agree with you there, Sean, for sure.
Yep.
All right. But salute to the chat, man. Thank you guys for watching. Do you have us winning this Nuggets game or not, Sean?
I'm not a prognosticator, man. It really what it comes down to is what it usually comes down to: how well are we going to defend, and how efficient are we going to be on offense? I totally expect us to come out and shoot better than 33%.
Oh yeah,
from 3, 17 to 51. I expect us to shoot better than that. And overall, we shot 39% for the game. So I expect us to be better on offense. Are we going to be better on defense? That's really what it comes down to. Is the bench going to give us another excellent performance like it did tonight? I have no idea, but I do want to shout out the campaign. He's been really good this year for us.
Yeah.
and especially in Deuce's absence.
Mm-hmm.
He's come in and played with great energy. He's made shots. He's distributed the ball. He's been a pest he's been a pest on defense. I've enjoyed watching him play for us and the type of minutes that he's given us. And we might have gotten completely blown out
For
tonight
sure.
if it weren't for our bench,
that's
and
a fact.
in particular him.
That's a fact. And Timmy knows I troll campaign all the time because of how ugly his jump shot is.
Yeah.
And I get on him too. I'll get him when he shoots his air ball because I'm just like, man, the ugly jump shot plus the air balls just makes the shot hard to watch. But at the same time, the defense is always consistent. So is the effort. And the last 2 games specifically, he's had some really big games and he's had to step up because Deuce McBride just hasn't been available. So I definitely appreciate what Cam has done in the Knicks uniform so far, even though he has been pulling out my hair sometimes, a little bit, just a little bit. But today for sure,
You gotta take the good with the bad with him sometimes.
Got to with bench players. He's a bench player, man. He's a bench player. What do you expect? When a bench player can do what he did today, you got to tip your hat off and say good game.
Word.
That's the fact. All right, let's get to these comments though in the YouTube chat. Let's get to these comments. Picks with Timmy just laughing at me because I had to give Campaign a compliment, so he's just laughing at me. Chuck D says JD salutes. Victor Thompson says Jay Ellis for president. Man, I wish I was for president and not was whoever is president right now. Craig Ward says shout out to Jay Ellis. Keith Watkins says greetings from ATL. I saw somebody mention Felicia. I saw Felicia mention something. So Jay Ellis, we have 4 games before we need to make some decisions on the rotation. Yeah, you came a little bit late, Felicia. We kind of talked about shaking up the rotation, possibly just to inject some more defense. We talked about possibly bringing in Precious Achua for Josh Hart. That could be something to be looked at. So we can get some size in there and some switchability on defense and some weak side shot blocking that Cat doesn't have. So that's something we talked about, but I can definitely see that being explored. And hey, we'll see what happens when Mitch comes back too. I don't expect him to start, but Mitch and Cat combo together should help our defense a ton for sure. All right, yo, that's the show. Thank you guys for watching. Sean, you want to know where they can find you?
I didn't hear you.
I said, Sean, do you want to let them know where they can find you? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. If you all are on TikTok, you can find me at _original_game changer. I have a podcast called the Cops and Convicts podcast with Sean Shepard, and that's on YouTube. Other than that, man, I don't really do too much. I don't really do too much Twitter. So if y'all want to check out our content on TikTok or YouTube, that'd be the move. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share that.
Absolutely. No problem, man. Thanks. Good to have you, man. Good to have you. Good conversation. For sure. And you can follow us at the KOT Show on Twitter, the Knick of Time Show on Instagram and Facebook. And now you can find us on TikTok as well, streaming live on TikTok. Just type in the Knick of Time Show and we'll pop up live on TikTok. So salute to you guys who are watching on these platforms. All right. Thank you. And also super chats are welcome. If you want to give a super chat, that helps support the channel, helps pay for things, bells and whistles, Zooms, and everything else in between. It helps keep the lights on. So we definitely appreciate all super chats, PayPals and Cash Apps and all those things. All right. That's the show. Thank you guys for watching. And for my KOT fam, you already know the drill, as always.
Shout out the Worldwide West. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
It's a mess out here in these Knicks YouTube streets. That's the show. And TikTok streets. That's the show. We out of here. Peace.
All right.
York, New York, big city of dreams.